Hey, I'm here. I'm here. Hang on. I'll explain what happened. Guys, just give me a second. I don't know what happened. It popped on my screen and said we had a copyright infringement, and it kicked me off. So I don't know what happened. So we're here now. We'll give everybody a chance to come over. I just sent out the text. So I don't. That was weird. I don't know what happened. Hey, everybody. I don't know what happened. It came on and said I had a copyright infringement. I have no idea what that would have been. I have no idea what happened. So okay, we're gonna give everybody a chance to jump in over here. Well, don't say it again, Bill, if that's what it was. So I don't know what happened. It came on and said I had a copyright infringement. I I don't know if the YouTube police are coming for me or not, Joyce. So hey, you can't keep Batman down for very long. All right, gosh, it's gonna kill our numbers tonight. Oh yeah, well, I won't say that word out loud again, Suze. All right, the Dickies are back. Hi, Christina. All right, we're going to give everybody a chance to log in here real quick. Sorry, I don't know what happened. It just popped up and said YouTube detected a copyright infringement, and it kicked me off immediately. I have no idea what that was. Hi, Daryl. Hi, Jess. I don't know what happened. They just kicked me out of my other one, so. All right, holy cow, 13. Come on, guys. Let's see if we can get this back up here. Hi, Jess Mack. How are you doing tonight? All right, we'll give I don't want to start the lesson until we at least see if anybody else is coming. Hi, Beth. Amy had Chinese food. You know, that's what it was, Amy. I asked you what you had for supper, and it kicked me off. So, hi, Barb Fitzgerald. Hey, Bill. Hi, Crystal Dove. Welcome back. Sorry about that. For those of you just joining us, I don't know what happened to the other stream. It just said copyright infringement. It kicked me off. I have no idea what that was. So, that's right. Got that product placement there, Michelle Kirian. Got that Oreo product placement. So, hi, Margie Tangeman. Good to see you here tonight. All right, our numbers are coming back. All right, we're going to give everybody a chance to get here. So, all right, cool. Christina, you're welcome. You are so welcome for those frozen Oreos. And every time you eat one, I expect you to say, Pastor Tim is awesome for suggesting this every single time for the rest of your life. You have to say that. So, no chocolate on top, though. Yeah, that's okay. I like the plain ones, but they're both good. Hi, Bill Dove. So, yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's because I was showing that picture on my phone. Of course, I've done that before, so I don't know what the problem was there. But I did get over to visit a couple people over at Vancrest today, and we were having a good time with that. So, hi, Angie. Welcome back. I don't know what happened. It said I had a copyright infringement. I don't know what I copyrighted infringed, but apparently I did. So, which is weird to think because I've actually sang copyrighted songs on here before with music, and that wasn't a problem. So I don't know what I did tonight. But oh, golden Oreos are very good, Amy. So, Michelle, what'd you have for supper tonight? Everybody around here is curious as to what superheroes eat for supper. So, also, Michelle, if you have Instagram, I posted our picture on Instagram, so everybody's liking it on there. So. There are lemon Oreos, Teresa, but there are also golden Oreos that are just the vanilla flavored ones, and they're really good. So the Bible is not copyrighted. You cannot copyright anything written by somebody who has passed away plus 75 years, which the Bible certainly doesn't do that. So the Bible is not copyrighted. Now, certain translations of it are, but who knows? Ooh, sugar waffle and elephant ears. Hi, Dave Jessen. Welcome back. Hey, Joe Sutton. That's right. Superheroes eat villains for supper. I have them for breakfast, too. Delicious. So, all right. I'm sorry. We're getting a horrible start here tonight. Thank you all for coming back. I don't know what happened to the first stream. I was just talking away, and suddenly a little bar came across my screen and said, YouTube has detected a copyright infringement, and it kicked me off. I have no idea. I don't know what I did. So I had to set up a new stream. So thank you all for coming over to this. All right, we're up to 31 now. All right. Thank you all for coming back to this one. I appreciate it. All right. Tonight we are taking a look at Genesis 44. I think I'll skip the rundown tonight since we're running a little bit late. I think you all are familiar with how we've gotten to this point. Yeah. Jack and Cheryl eat well. Cheryl Cuck, you're right about that. Well, yeah, but that Batman, Teresa's been over there the whole time. I mean, he hasn't moved since we started this, so I don't know. I don't know if he was it or not. So, all right. So, okay. So just really quickly, the brothers are there. They just came in to eat. Joseph sat him by age. Sat him at the table by age. They everything there. Okay, so now everything seems hunky dory. Joseph kind of doted on his brothers and things, and they gave him the food or sold him the food, and then they now they're getting ready to leave. And this is now Genesis chapter 44. All right, as I just said. Genesis 44, verse 1. When his brothers were ready to leave, Joseph gave these instructions to his palace manager. Fill each sack with as much grain as they can carry, which makes sense. I mean, if you're coming to buy stuff, we're going to carry as much as we can. And put each man's money back into his sack. So we're playing that game again where all the money gets refunded. Then he says, verse 2, then put my personal silver cup at the top of the youngest brother's sack, along with the money for his grain. His personal silver cup. So the manager did as Joseph instructed him. Did he ask questions? Did he wonder why? I can't imagine he didn't, but he did as he was told. Okay, so now the grain is all packed away. They got the money back again. Apparently, they don't know that. But this time, Joseph has slipped the silver cup. You know, what that is it's a valuable piece of something that they would recognize. So it's not like here, put this plastic bottle in there because this could be anything. That silver cup would have been recognizable by anyone. So, all right. So Benjamin's sack has not only his money, like the rest of the brother's sack, but also the silver cup. Now, I want you to keep in mind how orchestrated this whole thing is. Okay, the brothers have been to see Joseph now twice, 2 times. They've been to see Joseph. They've talked with him. They've now ate a meal with him. They clearly don't recognize who he is, even though the brothers have had a pretty significant amount of interaction with him. But they haven't recognized him, aren't really on to what he's doing, haven't caught on, whatever. Okay, and now Joseph lets them leave. Now, the obvious question at this point is, why hasn't Joseph let this out yet? I mean, this has got to be, you guys got to know, this is burning a hole through this guy. There was at least, we talked about last night, there was at least 4 months between the original time that the guys came back, the brothers came back, or came the first time, and the time they returned. It was 4 months. And even though Simeon was there rotting in jail all that time, that's 4 months. He's got to be wondering if he's ever going to have the chance to see them again. So they come in. He goes through this whole dog and pony show of bringing them in to eat. Nothing. He plants the money back in their sacks. Nothing. Plants the silver cup in Benjamin's sack. Nothing. He doesn't ever make any attempt to say, do I look familiar to you? He never says that. And I have an explanation as to why we're going to get to in a second. But I just want you to keep in mind, Joseph went through a lot of trouble to this point when he could have just, put this information out there really 4 months ago. But he didn't. And I'm going to, when we get to toward the end of the lesson, actually, it may not be till tomorrow night that we get to that. I couldn't remember where the cutoff was. But there's an explanation as to why Joseph went to all this trouble. And so I want you to just keep that in mind. All right, so verse 4, but they'd only gone a short distance, and they were barely out of the city. So, for leaving St. Mary's, they were just passing Kroger. All right, they're just outside of town. And they're on their way. Joseph said to his palace manager. Now, remember, keep in mind, does the palace manager know the cup is in somebody's bag? Does he know it? Yes. Why? Because he put it there. So he knows for certain not only is the cup going to be found, but they also know that the brothers are going to be like, what the heck is going on? Right? Nobody's going to believe it. So the palace manager knows all of this. And yet he still goes out, chases the guys down. So chase after them. And when you catch up with them, ask them, why have you repaid my kindness with such evil? Why have you stolen my master's cup, which he uses to predict the future? What a wicked thing you have done. Remember, the guy saying this to the brothers is the same guy who put the cup in the bag. This guy, this guy knows this is bogus. Joseph's situation has been difficult, but at this point in his life, Joseph has some really faithful people working for him that this palace manager would have been willing to go along with this because the palace manager, probably the palace manager and Joseph were the only two people who knew what happened here about this cup ending up in the bag. The brothers clearly don't know, and nobody else knows. And Cheryl, I'm sure it may have hurt his feelings not to be recognized, but from the way this reads, Joseph is clearly being less than forthcoming. He's speaking to them through a translator. He seems to know a lot about them, and he's really put it out there in a lot of different ways. So so Joseph isn't exactly being forthcoming with this information. So it might have hurt his feelings not to be recognized, but again, how could they think the kid they sold into slavery is now the boss of the whole thing? you almost got to be on the brother side on this one. I mean, the brothers have made lots of mistakes, no question about it. But that's kind of a tough thing. So Bill says, but corruption was probably more common than we realize. Could very well be. I mean, that could very well be. But you still got to realize that corruption or not, whatever Joseph says goes. And okay, let's give it up for the palace manager, Teresa. He really must have sold this, because as we're about to see the reaction of the brothers, they believe that something weird's going on. And at no point do they say, dude, are you joking me? I mean, they never question him. And that he was the one who did it. But I just want you to see that Joseph really has some faithful people working for him. So, and the interesting thing is, it's going to look like, because obviously, the cup's going to be found. It's going to look like the brothers are lying, because that's what everybody says. Yeah, Joseph must have let the manager in on the story. Possibly. Maybe the manager knew that this was his family. We're not told that, but I mean, that certainly stands to reason. But because you're right. At some point, the manager has to be like, why are we torturing these guys for? What the heck did they do? It's an interesting thing that the Bible doesn't feel the need to tell us for whatever reason. But I'm sure that the palace manager was having a lot of questions as to why we were singling these guys out so much. Now, the interesting thing is all the brothers say, well, no way do we have this, right? Okay, so verse 6. When the palace manager caught up with the men, he spoke to them as he was instructed to. What are you talking about? The brothers responded. And again, the palace manager knows they don't know what he's talking about, because he's the one who put it there to no one's knowledge. So the palace manager almost has to be going, man, sorry, guys, there we are. But so that they say, we, your servants, would never do such a thing. Remember, guys, we're the one who got home, found the money in our bags, and 4 months later, we brought the money back. So, I mean, we could have ran off with your money. Now, granted, during this famine, there wasn't much we could do with it, but at least we brought the money back. We tried to be honest. Why would we turn around and steal something, especially something as insignificant as a single silver cup, which, while maybe pretty, doesn't have anything to do with, what are we going to buy with it? What are we going to trade for it? So, okay. So the brothers are confident. Here we go. We are servants to never do something. Didn't we return the money we found in our sacks? We brought it all the way back from the land of Canaan. Why would we steal silver or gold for your master's house? Again, you're giving us money. Why would we care? And an interesting thing is, for the second time in a row now, everybody's finding money in their bags. That's not an issue. Nobody cares about that. It's the silver cup that becomes an issue. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? Verse 9. If you find the cup on any one of us, let that man die. That's pretty confident. And the rest of us, my lord, will be your slaves. That's fair, the man replied. But only the one who stole the cup will be my slave. The rest of you will go free. I mean, that's actually that offer, as severe as it is actually more generous than the one the brothers made. Okay, we're going to execute whoever stole it, which, I mean, we must really like this silver cup. But no slaves. Y'all are going to go home. Everybody else gets to go home. I'm not interested in punishing all of y'all. I just want the rabble roused. I want the troublemaker. And again, the palace manager knows who has it. Okay, verse 11. They all quickly took their sacks from the back of their donkeys and opened them. The palace manager searched the brothers' sacks from oldest to youngest. So he didn't start with Benjamin's. He knew that's where it was at, but he didn't start there. So again, the palace manager, I don't know if I mean this the way it sounds, but he's sort of making a show of this. All right, well, let's see here. Ruben, do you have it? Simeon, do you got it? Levi, do you have it? So he's going through all these bags, working his way down. In, I mean, dramatic fashion. I mean, I don't know how you want to do this, but he's really building the tension here. So the palace manager, verse 12, the palace manager searched the brothers' sacks from oldest to youngest. And to everybody's shock, except for one person, the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Now, yeah, that's right, Teresa. We're building some suspense here. Now the brothers have a problem. Because everybody swore up and down to Dad, don't worry, we'll bring the kid back, and now the kid's going to die. So, Cheryl, okay, I mean, yes, you could use this to make the argument that this guy's in on it, and very well could be. I mean, there's nothing here to suggest that he's not. And, I mean, there are some things here that we can look at and say, wow, he's making this over-dramatized. But it does make it sound that way. Okay. So the cup was found in Benjamin's sack, and you can imagine all these brothers, their stomachs just dropped. When the brothers saw this, they tore their clothing in despair. Now comes the moment Joseph has been waiting for. What are the brothers going to do? Now let's take a quick look back at the history of what's happened. First, they didn't like Joseph. So they threw him in a cistern and they sold him into slavery. They abandoned him to the Ishmaelite traders, drug him off to slavery. Okay. The next time they come around, Joseph makes a big to-do about accusing them of spies. And he first says, I'm going to keep all y'all and let one of you go. He let them stew on that for 3 days. Then he said, I tell you what, we'll leave one of you here, send the rest of you home. And they left Simeon. It took 4 months to come back. But they left him. What are the brothers going to do now? The other 2 times they chose to abandon somebody. They abandoned Joseph and they abandoned Simeon. What do they do here? Verse 13. When the brothers saw this, they tore their clothing in despair. Then they loaded their donkeys again and returned to the city, all of them. This is a far different response than they've given the last 2 times this happened. They obviously were really excited to abandon Joseph. And then they were maybe less excited, but still did it to abandon Simeon. Now Benjamin's in trouble. Benjamin, who was basically Joseph's replacement, they probably was just as spoiled as Joseph was. The brothers, I mean, Joseph had every reason to believe were probably just as annoyed with Benjamin as they would have been with Joseph. What's to know? What are you guys going to do? Still going to abandon? Still going to run off? That's why the palace manager was instructed, go, accuse Benjamin of stealing it. You know he did because you know you put it there. Bring him back because I want to see what they do. I want to see what they do. Okay. Verse 14. Joseph was still in his palace when Judah and his brothers arrived. Notice, not Benjamin. Again, Benjamin's probably in chains down in the prison. I mean, remember, he's supposed to be dead, but he's been locked up. They came and fell before him. What have you done? Joseph demanded. Oh, my Lord, what can we say to you? How can we explain this? How can we prove our innocence? They are there now advocating on behalf of Benjamin under the agreement. Because again, back when none of them thought that, I mean, we don't have the cup, nobody has it. And again, from their perspective, nobody did. And no reason to think that that was going to be found in any of their stuff. So the agreement was only one of them had to go back. Only one of them had to suffer. And because the rest of you all free to go, which is what they had done the previous 2 times. Now they came back to advocate for the brother in trouble. They'd never done that before. They were super eager to abandon Joseph, and they were pretty eager to abandon Simeon, but they don't do it this time. Remember, he had the palace manager wait until they were outside the city, home free. Till he went out and they could have drugged Benjamin back, and the rest of them could have went home. They were free to go, and they chose to go back. We've never seen them do anything like this before. This is new behavior. This is not a choice they'd made before. This is not a choice they'd even hinted at or even thought about before. I mean, before, when it was time for the Ishmaelite traders to come along and drag Joseph off, man, they were all too eager to let that go. And when they're like, well, we're going to keep Simeon, we're like, oh, dude, that's short straw for you, and we're out of here. Abandonment. But not this time. They all return to beg on Benjamin's behalf. Verse 15, what have you done? Joseph demanded. Don't you know a man like me can predict the future? Judah answered, oh, my Lord, what can we say to you? How can we explain this? How can we prove our innocence? God is punishing us for our sins. My Lord, now listen to this. We have all returned to be your slaves. All of us, not just our brother who had your cup in his sack. We're all here. We're in this together. We've never seen this before. That's right, Teresa. They're learning love for a brother. That's exactly what's going on here. They're learning. Now, Joseph's going to push him on this. No, Joseph said, I would never do such a thing. Only the man who stole the cup will be the slave. The rest of you go back to your father in peace. I have no beef with any of you. Then Judah stepped forward. Please, my Lord, let your servant say just one word to you. Please do not be angry with me, even if you are as powerful as Pharaoh himself. My Lord, previously you asked us, your servants, do you have a father or a brother? We responded, yes, my Lord. We have a father who's an old man, and his youngest son is a child of his old age. His full brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him very much. And you said to us, again, recounting what happened, verse 21, and you said to us, bring him here, so I can see him with my own eyes. But we said to you, my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for his father would die. But you told us, unless your youngest brother comes here with you, you will never see my face again. So we returned to your servant, our father, and told him what you had said. Later, when he said, go back and buy us more food, we replied, we can't go unless you let our youngest brother go with us. We'll never see the man's face again unless our youngest brother is with us. Then my father said to us, as you know, my wife had 2 sons, and one of them went away and never returned. We all know who that is. Doubtless he was torn to pieces by some wild animal. Okay. Joseph never knew what his story was. Up to this moment, I can't recall in the story, but I don't think anybody told him what they told Jacob about what happened to him. So this is new information for Jacob, or for Joseph. I've never seen him once. I've never seen him since. Now, if you take his brother away from me and any harm comes to him, you will send this grieving white-haired man to his grave. Look what's going on here. They returned with the brother to try to advocate for him. And now they're here saying, whatever we need to do, let this happen because dad has been suffering. Dad has missed the son that he lost. Joseph didn't know any of this. This is new information. And so now they're saying, look what's happened. Losing Joseph was the worst thing that ever happened to our family. Let's see, Cheryl. The question I have is whether they learned their lesson or fear their father. No, I think they learned their lesson. I think they learned their lesson here. I don't think it was fear of dad. I think it was fear of, or not fear. I think it was they knew they'd done wrong. And I really, again, we can debate that, but I really, really think that they have turned around. This is what Joseph has been looking for. Are you willing to come back and fight for Benjamin? Because they could have just easily went home and said, gosh, these rabid camels ate another one of your sons. Who knew? They could have went home and they didn't. They went back and they are fighting for Benjamin harder than we've seen them fight for anything up to this point. I mean, they were even too lazy to come and buy food both times that Jacob sent them. You know, remember the first time? Guys, why are you here looking at each other? Go buy some food. I mean, why did Jacob even have to say that? But that's what they said. So I really think this is growth on behalf of the brothers. Again, we can debate that, but I think that's what we're seeing here. Joe says, God allows these kind of tests in our lives so we can see what he already knows is there. Choices only change the now, not the past. Our past does not define us. Right now, forgiveness. That's right. And we are about to see a Mount Everest-sized portion of forgiveness on behalf of Joseph as we continue through the story. Okay, so here we are. Verse 29. Now, if you take his brother away from me and any harm comes to him, you'll be sending this grieving white-haired man to his grave. And now, my Lord, I cannot go back to my father. I can't do it. I've done that once, to go back without the son that he loved. I'm not doing it again. If he sees the boy is not with us, our father will die. We, your servants, will indeed be responsible for sending that grieving white-haired man to his grave. Why? Because we're the reason the first son didn't come back. I mean, that's what they're getting to. And so they said, we have been down this road. We will never do that. We will do anything to not do that again because that was awful. That was awful. So even though this is Dad's favorite and that's wrong and it shouldn't be that way, we cannot do that to Dad. And that's not going to be negotiable. Our father's life is bound to this boy's life. Verse 31. If he sees that the boy is not with us, our father will die. We, your servants, will indeed be responsible for sending that grieving white-haired man to his grave because he's never gotten over Joseph. Verse 32. My Lord, now this is Judah speaking, and we read that he said, what he's about to say here, he did say. We read that earlier in the story. He says, verse 32, my Lord, I guaranteed my father that I would take care of the boy. I told him, if I don't bring him back to you, I will bear the blame forever. So please, my Lord, let me stay here as a slave instead of the boy. Let the boy return to his brothers. For how can I return to my father if the boy is not with me? I couldn't bear to see the anguish that would cause my father. We have not seen anything from the brothers that even closely resembles this. Let me take Benjamin. Whatever we got to do, let's get Benjamin out of here. Okay? We'll stay. We'll all stay. Have one guy take him back. It doesn't matter. Whatever it takes. We went back to Dad without a brother before. And by George, we're not doing that again. Because what we did was wrong. And we have regretted it ever since. Bingo. It's what Joseph's been waiting for. This is what he's been waiting to hear. Had he told them, I'm Joseph, the first time they showed up, they wouldn't have had this. They needed the 3 days in prison. They needed the time of talking to each other, deciding which one they're going to send back. They needed to watch Simeon get drug off again. They needed to get to the brink of starvation again. They needed to convince Father to part with Benjamin for a while. They needed to have time in Pharaoh's palace. They needed to have the threat of losing after all these guarantees. They needed to make a stand for a brother. They needed to remember the consequences, Suze. That's exactly right. They needed to get to the point where they were willing to sacrifice for one another. And Joseph drove them there. This is what he was waiting to see. And Joseph finally got him there. All right, let's go on to chapter 45. We know where this is going, so we're gonna keep moving here for just a few minutes. Chapter 45, verse 1. Joseph could stand it no longer. Why? Because he had just seen what he'd been waiting to see. The brothers saying, we are in this together. We're going to defend each other together. We're going to do what we can to please our father, no matter how wrong he had been, together. We're going to work through this together. We're going to figure out a solution together. We're going to sacrifice for each other together. So Joseph, in his heart of hearts, knew he had driven them to the point he wanted them to get. That's right, Joe. He drove them there because they were standing there as brothers, probably for the first time in their lives. I mean, we have got no indication at any point up to this time that these brothers stood as one until now. Never had they. And now they did. And Joseph says, okay, I see. Joseph could stand it no longer. Chapter 45, verse 1. There were many people in the room. And he said to his attendants, out, all of you. And then all the Egyptians that were there left. So he was alone with his brothers when he told them who he was. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm sorry, you're who? What? I mean, just try to put yourself in this place. These brothers think they're about to become slaves for stealing this cup that nobody knows how it got in Benjamin's bag. First, Joseph is alive. Second, you're Joseph. And third, I'm sorry, you're Joseph? I mean, yeah, that's right, Joe. Boom. I mean, they probably went to major meltdown, super freak out at this point. Then he broke down and wept. Joseph wept so loudly the Egyptians could hear him, and word of it quickly carried to Pharaoh's palace. Now, again, Pharaoh, he might not know all of Joseph's story, but Pharaoh knows he's not an Egyptian. Pharaoh knows that he was in the prison. I mean, Pharaoh recognized that Joseph was working on behalf of God, and that's the God of the Hebrews, not one of the Egyptian gods. So he recognizes that Joseph is a foreigner, so that's not exactly shocking news to him. Now, there may be other people around who didn't know that, but Pharaoh knew it. So they ran up and told Pharaoh. Verse 3, I am Joseph, he said to his brothers. Is my father still alive? But his brothers were speechless. Now, that response, his brothers were speechless, this is classic Bible understatement. I don't think speechless quite encapsulates what's going on here. They were probably completely dumbfounded, just dumbfounded with what's going on here. And just couldn't hardly believe their ears. So they were stunned to realize that Joseph was standing there in front of them. I mean, again, stunned. I don't even know what word you use, but that doesn't seem big enough. This famine has ravaged the land for 2 years, will last 5 more years. There will be neither plowing nor harvesting. Okay, and that's what he said out there. You know what? We're going to stop here because I want to get in where Joseph starts to talk about. I want to talk about that tomorrow night. So we're going to stop right there. We're going to stop at verse 7. The lesson I want you to take from Joseph tonight, because Joseph has a lot more to say, and I don't want to try to cram that in here the last few minutes. The thing I want you to take from tonight's lesson is very important. I want you to see that Joseph, he wanted to provide for the brothers the same experience he had had. Now, again, he didn't have time to give them the full experience, so he kind of condensed it some. He was trying to strip away all their privilege, all their animosity, all of their pride, all of their arrogance, all of their anger, to get them down to see what's really important, and that is the relationship with the brothers. Relationship of family. Doing the right thing. Being devoted to God. That's what was important. And Joseph had to really crack on these guys to get him there. And so you say, so why didn't he just spill it when they first got there? This is why. Joseph wanted to give them the chance to get to this point. The journey for Joseph had been miserable. But now that he was standing on this side of it, and he realizes, and he's going to articulate this extremely clearly in what we read tomorrow night, Joseph realized that there was a purpose in all this. And the purpose was there was a whole bunch of people who need their lives saved. And he now saw himself as God's chosen champion. That's what he's going to explain to the brothers tomorrow night. He would not have been ready. He would not have been able. He probably would not have been willing to stand in the gap for basically the entire world had he not taken this journey. That journey was so important to him that he wanted his brothers to have the same journey, to realize the course that they were on was not the right one. And he drove them so hard to get to the point where they finally realized this is how it's going to have to be. And that was a scary moment for them to get to, and that was a very difficult moment for them to get to, and they would never have gotten there though without Joseph doing that for them. So in a bizarre twist of fate, the brothers sold Joseph into slavery, started him on a trajectory that changed his entire life. And here toward the end of the story, Joseph is returning the favor. And that's essentially what's going on here. Joseph is returning the favor to give them a chance to know God the way he did. An opportunity they would never have had they not have been through this experience. Joseph knew God was with him, and I believe he saw that he was part of their healing. God's love was bigger than their sin, way bigger. And we're about to find out just how big, or at least get an idea just how big in tomorrow night's reading. So some people look at what happens here at the end of this story and what Joseph does by having them come and sending them back, but hiding their money and having them come back and forcing them to bring Benjamin and having to go back again and giving them their money back and hiding the cup. You know, I have heard people interpret that as Joseph taking revenge on them. Oh, he's going to get these guys. I think that interpretation cheapens this story a lot. I think what really is going on here is Joseph learned how much he grew through the adversity that these brothers had never experienced. And I believe that the reason he did this was not for revenge. Look, if he wanted to get revenge on these guys, he had a captain or a manager of his household who was willing to hide a cup in there in Benjamin's bag and accuse them of stealing it. He had people that faithful. If Joseph wanted revenge, I'm sure he had assassins who could have made it look like an accident, right? I think Joseph improved and saved their character in their hearts. I think so too. This is a story of redemption of a mistake. You know, the brothers made a huge mistake, but God took that mistake and made something great come out of it. You know, so did God force the brothers to sell Joseph? No, I don't think so. But I think since that happened, God took the situation and redeemed it. And now Joseph, instead of getting revenge on them, is simply returning the favor. He's given them a chance to go on that redemption arc that he had been on now for a long time. And that's a difficult journey, but it's really the only journey in life worth taking, because it was that journey that caused Joseph to come to the point that he was able to be where God wanted him to be. And because of that, Joseph was able to save the whole known world from a famine. Yes, Cheryl, it is truly amazing what forgiveness can do. And that's what we see going on here. Joseph was forgiving them. He wasn't getting revenge on them. Don't ever allow somebody to try to convince you that Joseph was about vengeance. Because look, if Joseph wanted vengeance, he could have sent an army over there and killed everyone. I mean, so that's not what was going on here. This is Joseph bringing his brothers through a journey, a condensed version of what he had been through. And I am sure that they were frightened. I can't even imagine. So, all right. I know tonight was a little messed up because my copyright strike for some reason. How are we all doing? Everybody still enjoying Joseph? Teresa, that's a very interesting question, and that's why we're studying Joseph, because it very well may be that this journey through this weird time might be somebody's redemption arc. In fact, a bunch of somebody's redemption arc. All right, somebody give me some feedback on Joseph. Are you enjoying Joseph? All right, Dave. Thanks, Bill. Tomorrow night we are going to talk about the reunion and some of the things that Joseph has to say. So we will be talking about that in depth. And I think for Monday night, I'm going to go through this to look at it, because I don't know that we need to read all of the remaining chapters, but we may hit some, we'll call excerpts of what happens next, hit some of the high points, because there are some historical details and stuff in here that is interesting if you want to go read it, but not really relevant to the scope of this study. So we'll be taking a look at that. So tomorrow night, we're going to look at Joseph's response, and we're going to read through his response and all this stuff, and then we'll work from there. So, all right. Couple things for our last couple of minutes here. First of all, the good Lord willing, links for Sunday morning are going to be coming out. I know Awaken is uploaded. I uploaded that today. I'm just jumping over here to check to make sure it got where it was supposed to be. So Awaken should be there. First Light should be coming. If it's not coming tonight, it should come tomorrow. Oh, so slow. Okay. All right. So yes, if you click over to, well, hang on, you don't have to do anything. Let me do this. If you guys want, here is the link to Awaken in the chat. You guys see it there? If you want to go set a reminder. That's Awaken is the first one. And that one is First Light. First Light looks like it's uploading right now. Kurt must be uploading it right now. So you can click over, and that's going to premiere at at the appropriate time on Sunday. So you can set those out there, and obviously I'll be sending those out tomorrow. So since Kurt's uploading it now, I'll probably send out an email. Actually, our friend won't send it out till tomorrow, but I'll send out an email so people have them. But that way you can have the links, and they'll be going out here shortly. So very good. Be in prayer for the service on May 3rd. We're having some conversation about possibly about what we want to do for May the 3rd. First Light will for certain be online, as they have been and will be for a while. But we're considering a special event, though, for Awaken on May the 3rd. So please keep that in your prayers, and you'll be hearing more about that next week. So thank you, Linda. So, all right. I know I'm going to cut you out of here a little early. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. I have no idea what copyright strike I got or why I got one. But it terminated my live stream like right now. And I don't know what happened, because there was nothing. I don't know if something was playing or what, but I apologize for that. So I appreciate. I don't know. Maybe it's because I showed the Zoom. You think it was because I showed the Zoom phone call on the screen? I don't know why that would have been, but who knows. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys. Y'all doing good. I hope everybody's doing good. Looking forward to having worship with you on Sunday morning, which is all day. I've been thinking today was Saturday, because every day seems the same anymore. But yeah, we'll be together on Saturday evening. Obviously, we'll be back here for this, and then Sunday morning we'll be out for worship. So looking forward to that. I'm going to continue on Sunday morning, continue the story of Ruth, and got a sermon that I think will spark some discussion on Sunday. So I'm looking forward to that. So, all right, friends, I love you all very much. I hope you all had a great day. I hope you have a great Saturday tomorrow. Cheryl, I did see that. And it's not just in Germany. They're having them all over Ohio. And for May the 3rd, we're considering having one of those here. So, and thanks, Teresa. Thanks for the prayers. And yes, that's what we're considering as a parking lot service here on May 3rd. And there'll be more details about that coming out. But if you could all start now praying for the weather, just pray for the weather. So, all right, guys. I love you all very much. You guys are fantastic. I really appreciate you being willing to share your evenings with me. Hopefully tomorrow night we can make it through without a copyright strike. And y'all know what you need to do now. Go wash your hands.